Auburn basketball falls to Texas A&M by the score of 79-63, ending an incredible home winning streak for the Auburn Tigers and putting in jeopardy some other things for the team that they've accomplished recently. We're going to break it all down, though, talk about the ins and outs, the stats, the storylines of the games, all that here coming up on this post-game reaction stream here on E2C Network. War Eagle to you, Auburn family, E2C Network family, however you got here, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on Twitter, Instagram, here on YouTube, the home base. We appreciate you being with us, hanging out, spending some time talking about something in the Auburn family spectrum. As we do every single live stream, I want to encourage you to start it off the live stream, even on a somber night where your Auburn Tigers do fall, by checking in right now. Post where you're watching from, your city, your state, international, all of that stuff. Post that right now in the chat. And with a War Eagle, if you can muster it tonight. Also, if you'll smash the like button if you're watching here on YouTube, if you'll do the same things on Twitter and Facebook, those are huge helps to us to get us started off on the stream and let people know that you're here, that you are hanging out with us, and that they can find us as well if they'd like to. I'll start off with opening thoughts, and then we'll get into some of your commentary tonight, and I'm sure we're going to lean heavily into the negative side of things tonight, which is understandable and easy to do. But hopefully we can find something else other than just lamenting tonight to talk about. 79-63. Incredible start for the Auburn Tigers tonight in the first, 5 minutes. And Texas A&M just decided to say, no, sir. Them and Radford is his name, decided to assert themselves on the road in Neville Arena, where you never win, and pull off a win against the Auburn Tigers. Obviously, a huge win for them in their program. Obviously, it puts into perspective where Texas A&M falls into the pecking order of the SEC, and it calls into question where Auburn might be in the pecking order now, considering the results of this game. Still a lot of season left to play, though. Still a lot of things to consider, talk about. We'll do some of that with you here today. So let me start off by saying hello to a lot of you. Normal guy, good to see you. Jacob Fielder, Jeff, Blake, Devin's here. Yo, boy, David Bacon. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here on the stream tonight. Devin starts us off. Of course, as soon as our home win streak is at the top, we lose it. Classic. A lot of questionable calls in the game, but we just didn't have it. And I think, listen, every game we talk about, there's going to be questionable calls. Every game in the SEC officiating, after all. But this, in my opinion, tonight was not a case of questionable calls. And I don't think you're saying that either, Devin, that this is Auburn not playing well in some areas. And this is, let's give credit where credit is due. Let's start off with that before we dive into the things that aren't so fun to talk about. Texas A&M looks like a pretty good team, in my opinion. Are they the best in the SEC? I doubt it. They've already played Alabama, I believe, right? I think so. Yeah. They haven't. Well, I can't remember. You guys can tell me. But they are a good team at this moment, better than Auburn, especially because they beat us on our home floor. But that remains to be seen if that'll carry out through the rest of the year. We'll just have to watch what happens so we can make better assumptions as we go along. This was not our night. I am not mad. I am just concerned. And not to pick on you, Pate, but I find this interesting. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing. For me, I find a lot of Auburn fans, and this is not a notion that you, Pate, necessarily, but have not had to deal with a lot of adversity when it comes to basketball, or at least that I've been through the ringer with Auburn basketball. This is not the bottom of the bottom. We've grown accustomed to being at the top and grown accustomed to winning, which is a great thing, but it kind of makes us some people not respond well to adversity and not respond well to winning them all. Tonight, we just got beat. That's all it is. And it's not necessarily a sign of bad things to come. It's not necessarily an indicator for the rest of the season. But it does show you here's what we do know. Auburn started off really well in non-conference play, besides a few hiccups to some decent teams. and got a few decent wins themselves. Nothing world-beating type of record or anything like that, but just enough to win respect of people. We're really good at home, questionable at neutral sites on the road. We got the SEC play, struggled a little bit, and then we rose up and kind of showed, all right, we belong up in the top conversation. So now that we're moving up into the conversation, it switches to how high up in the pecking order we are. And we kind of found that out tonight. We can probably say at this moment that Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas A&M are probably up there. Auburn, Kentucky, whoever else, Arkansas, are kind of in this subgroup at this moment. Just kind of my opinions in this discussions of it. Pearl is not getting his team to play consistently. We took a huge step backwards tonight. The top home streak doesn't even last a week. David, I'm going to disagree with you a lot here, sir. And I'm not, again, I hope everybody knows I'm not trying to pick on them, but I'm just using your comments to provide discussion points. To say that we're not getting them to play consistently is ignoring the last few weeks. We played very consistently the last few weeks. Tonight we didn't. Everybody has an off night. Now, what you can say is if this pattern continues over the next couple of games, then you might have a point. But one game is not saying that they don't play consistently. It's not a huge step backwards. It is simply a point in the season where we take a step back and go, all right, where are we at? What's not working? Is it the same problems that we've been having? Maybe. But is it something that can be corrected? Probably. We still got a lot of season left to play. Veterans didn't show up tonight. Somebody else said that too. Seniors were MIA. So let me kind of look at that. So when you talk about that, you're thinking about Jalen Williams, Janai, where's he at? A junior, I think, right now. Zep Jasper, Alan Flanagan. Yeah, so those main guys right there, especially Allen and Jalen and Zep Jasper. To me, Zep Jasper is about where he was supposed to be, points-wise, 6 points. Alan Flanagan is about where he's been most nights, 8 points. Jalen Williams, we already brought him up at 8 points. Right? No, Jalen Williams with 8 points tonight. So to me, outside of Jalen Williams having a more pedestrian night compared to where he is, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that completely, but that's just my opinion. Let's see here. Hard to beat a team when you spot them 15 at the half. And this is where my frustrations lie, Jacob. And I'm glad you brought this point up tonight. What Auburn basketball under Bruce Pearl has had a tendency to do is spot somebody a lead. And so it's like it gets to that sweet spot for the opponent, and then we might make a couple runs to get it right there, but we made it just too far away from us, as opposed to kind of keeping it close. And when I say close, that's relative to the team you're playing and the situation that you're playing in. But to me, that's what the case was tonight. One of those old habits that we've had before of just spotting somebody something, especially at home. That is probably where my frustrations lie tonight, is allowing them to get out to that lead, allowing them to be able to secure something that's highly coveted on the road and not being able to muster up a little bit more. Jeff, poor effort all the way around. BP didn't switch to the zone soon enough. Lack of game plan to contain a guy that torched us in the last meeting is very puzzling. Yeah, it could be that. It also could be the guy's just really good. I was amazed by Radford tonight. 30 points, 8 for 17, 3 for 7 from the 3-point arc, 11 of 12 free throw wise, 9 rebounds. He's one shy of a double-double. 2 assists tonight in 38 minutes of play. The difference in the game tonight is Radford, hands down. I mean, their next highest scorer was Taylor. After that, it's Marble with 9. So they almost had 3 guys in double digits, but Radford was just on another level tonight. I don't like operating in hyperbole, but I'm not joking when I say this. I was a huge Michael Jordan fan growing up, and I know most everybody is, but there were some things he was doing tonight. I was like, Michael? Now, listen, the reality is he's not Michael Jordan. The reality is he's not as good as Michael. but he played lights out tonight. And yes, he torched us in the SEC tournament. And sometimes they're just better than you, no matter what you do. I'm not, and there's definitely some things we probably could have done better tonight, but you got to give them the credit where credit is due. What did we do to Buzz Williams for him to always play his best games against us? Well, let me put it to you this way. Think about what's happened since Buzz Williams has been here. I can't remember how long he's been here. This is like his 4th season, something like that. So what's happened in that time frame? Buzz Williams came over from the ACC, right? Yeah. And walked into a place where Kentucky and Auburn and Tennessee were kings, and Auburn had just kind of risen to the occasion. So Auburn was the new king of the castle. So what did we do to Buzz Williams? We were easy to hunt, easy to get motivated against. But, that each team is different every year and stuff like that. Sometimes, and I'm not trying to give a bunch of cop-outs tonight, but sometimes people just have your number. I think for Bruce, you're going to look at Mike White now at Georgia, and Buzz Williams seem to have something on Bruce that's not working for Bruce, and his teams. At least that's what the results of the game say. WT, good to see you. Thanks for being here. They ain't messing around. No, they are not for sure. Devin, I believe in this team. Like you said, a lot of the season left. Lots of other teams are struggling in head-scratching ways right now, too. And that's the nature of this, right? We've seen, number ones go down, highly ranked teams go down all season. And what I would say is this, and I think this is probably what's more unnerving for Auburn fans tonight, is that this happened at home. Even the struggles that we've had, even the losses that we've taken, they've all been on the road or at neutral sites in the last, 31 games or 31 weeks. So it's hard to stomach that and hard to rationalize that when you were protecting something special like that for quite some time and haven't experienced that at home. If I may give you a caveat, if I may give you something to think about, and because I like to play both sides of the equation here, at least you're not losing to bad teams. So Auburn has lost to Memphis. Auburn has lost to USC. And you could argue how good they are, but they're not bad teams. Georgia would be probably the worst team, but even they look serviceable somewhat. And then Auburn has lost to Arkansas. So I'll actually take Georgia out of that statement because for now I'll still consider them a not good team, maybe not a bad team. But you lost to a good team at home who just played lights out tonight. Rebounding killed me tonight is what Thomas says. I'll take a quick peek over here. Rebounding stats look fairly even across the board, really, actually, obviously in the favor of Texas A&M, but there's really not any big super advantage there. We haven't solved the issue of long droughts of offensive. Yeah, that's really what it is tonight. What we've talked about in previous live streams is we know this team is a very streaky offensive team and is not super consistent. The question is not, will the offense find its momentum at some point in the game, or will it go through a drought? Those things are going to happen. The question is, can the defense hold up long enough? And the answer most of the year has been yes. Tonight it wasn't. And Radford just destroyed us. I mean, he was on fire tonight. So on fire tonight. Blake says silly turnovers every time we had momentum going to hurt us. And I think if last time I checked, the turnovers were not super skewed either, but these turnovers came in really crucial moments from, upperclassmen guys. So that is very frustrating to watch. So what was the reason for that tonight? Was it nerves? Was it, the panic of trying to protect something that you had just gotten? Was it just not being focused tonight? Who knows? But there was a lot of lack of control with the ball at times from some of our upperclassmen. 50-50 balls owned by A&M. I'm not. A lot of things were owned by A&M tonight. I just keep thinking of UNC last year didn't really solidify their spot until the ACC tournament. Came in at 3 seed and went on a tear. So a lot of you, and I agree with this one, but there's a lot of people that I found subscribe to this, you have to be on the roll at the right time. So if you subscribe to that theory like as a definite, then you should be somewhat encouraged by this, that we're not encouraged, but okay with this, the fact that we haven't peaked yet. So here's the big thing. And I want to kind of look at my notes and stuff, and we'll still take some comments and questions, but there's some typical things that we want to cover in this show. Wow, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, what has happened every single time Auburn has had a loss this year, whether it was a respectable loss or not, which most of them have been? They went on and corrected some mistakes and won the game. And maybe didn't go on for long streaks. There wasn't a big gap between the Memphis game and the USC game, but they corrected some mistakes, played a lot better in some areas, and looked a lot better. This last one was a nice long stretch in SEC play against kind of up and down competition. So what does that mean? The big thing is not what happened tonight, but what this team does responding in the next game. So far this season, they have responded. Will they do it again? If they do, no matter who the opponent is, you should be encouraged. Now, if they come out and let's see, it's West Virginia this week, right? So it's a break from SEC play. You should probably, you probably are, you're favored to beat West Virginia, I would think, even on the road. If they can come out, respond on the road, and get a win against West Virginia and look pretty good doing it, that should encourage you. If they come back to Georgia and get revenge for that game, that should encourage you. And then if they come back to a Tennessee game and redeem themselves, that should super encourage you. Now, that's a lot of ifs, and there's a lot of things that need to be taken into account there. But what has happened every single time Auburn's had a loss this year? They've responded. So for now, I'm going to believe that they will do that. And that's kind of where I'm sitting at with this team at this moment. All that matters is the tournament, SEC and national. I disagree a little bit, Thomas. The season matters for those reasons because the tournament and that, but I get what you mean by all that. It's not horrible to get punched in the mouth early in the season. It motivates the players to do better. And that's kind of what I was getting at. These, for whatever reason, they've gotten punched in the mouth this season, and it's motivated them to respond. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Jacob, that's kind of what I was getting at, and I didn't get the individual's name, so I didn't really want to quote him or anything like that, but not really a fan of his commentary tonight, but they really were talking about how they seem flat. That's a convenient thing that you can say when the team's starting to struggle to make it sound like you had some premonition, but maybe he was on something. I don't know. I think you should go in. I think it's fair to, after a loss like this, especially at home, to be a little bit worried about the next one, no matter what it is, where it is. But again, what I fall back on is what this team has done each time has responded. That's all I can go off of at this point is their history. Okay. Other things let me make sure some things I jotted down. We talked about the great start, man. The arena was rocking tonight. Looked like a great atmosphere. So I know Bruce and the players are really disappointed they couldn't honor that with a win tonight. But you got to give credit to Texas A&M. We talked about Radford and Taylor. The guard play for Texas A&M was pretty good. I do not like it when people, even our fans, get on Wendell Green for being small and kind of use that against him because he's proven time and time again that really doesn't matter. But tonight you could really see that at times, especially in some traps and stuff, him get taken advantage of because of size and length and all that kind of stuff tonight. But Wendell Green's not going to be able to do everything perfect, every single night, but he has done that time and time again this season. Yeah, we didn't really have one of those, did we? We're usually due for one of those. The boom room commentary. Yeah, that I don't know. I just was not a fan of his commentary tonight. I actually switched back between TV and Sonny and Andy a couple times tonight just because I couldn't really decide where I wanted to sit tonight in all of that. Other thing that we haven't even talked about, Chris Moore came back and played. I think it's hard to really take an assessment of where he's at 12 minutes of play tonight. We knew he wouldn't start. We knew he wouldn't play a lot. He probably, in my mind, he probably played more than I thought he would. And he even had some stitches in his mouth tonight. Was that during practice? I can't remember what they said, but that was really, really interesting. Heard the student section was clearing out before the end. Kind of disappointing, but not surprising, I guess. You know, it's a hard one for me to take because the students are showing up, not take, but like to have a response to that honors both sides, because I was a student once too, and I lived through some of those really horrible years and wanted to leave, and I didn't. But everybody had every right to. People make their own choices. That's I guess that's all we can say about it. David says, flat out, we need better point guards. What are we going to do about that? Aiden Holloway is coming. Is he a point guard or is he a shooting guard? I can't remember. 2 guard. You have who you have this year. You got to make it work. I think we've got a pretty good point guard in Wendell Green. Just didn't have a great game tonight. Didn't have as good a game as we're used to. I think what you saw is a comfort level tonight that had been established by this team and the fan base with where they were at and being brought back down to reality. And some people don't know how to handle that. Not you necessarily, but anyway. Yeah, I didn't really understand that either, but I also was kind of managing some things behind the scenes here, watching at the same time. Had Chance been going this year, this would have been where he would have helped. His size could help in those traps. Yeah, in theory, yes, I would agree with that. In speculation, in theory, but that's not necessarily altogether true, in my opinion. Just size for size does not necessarily mean that would fix a problem. Wendell has proven time and time again. Jared proved time and time again. Sharif proved time and time again that size did not matter. But tonight, it probably did play a slight role in it. One of the students that left early. Well, David, we got people saying they're a little disappointed in the students leaving early. I mean, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying I'll take that seat if you don't want it for the whole time. Not that I can get in anymore. I used to be able to pass for a student. You can see my forehead here doesn't really pass anymore. David says rebounding. We have addressed this a little bit already. The rebound is not that big of a discrepancy. We'll go back and look at it in just a second, but obviously they won that tonight. David said coaching was bad. Zepp was on the bench way too long when we couldn't guard number 23. Do you think Lior is going to guard the dude? I think Lior is actually a pretty good guarder when he's out there. Maybe not so much tonight, but you don't really see much drop off when he comes. There's a reason he is trusted so much by Bruce, and Bruce talks about him that way. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a better defender than Zepp or Wendell or definitely not KD. But yeah, coach has his reasons. Sometimes they're the wrong reasons, and that's in the results tonight. But I trust him wholeheartedly. All right, let me walk through some stats tonight. We've talked a little bit about them somewhat. Your leading scorers tonight, Janai Broom, Wendell Green. And really, that shouldn't surprise you. What we really needed was somebody else to kind of do just a little bit better tonight, to do just a little bit more offensively. Jalen was kind of up there, being at 8 points. Alan Flanagan, 2. Then you had Zepp Jasper with 6, probably more than we're accustomed to him having. Katie Johnson with 5 tonight. Trey Donaldson with 2. Leor Berman with 2. Chris Moore and Cardwell didn't get anything tonight. Trey Orr didn't even play tonight, which was interesting. So really just missing a little bit extra contribution from the bench points tonight. In fact, 13-9, Texas A&M wins that matchup. The bench was probably really the difference tonight. Couple that with a game from Radford. Ooh, It's hard to beat a team home or away when that happens. When Janai got the ball low, they'd bring help, and when he'd shoot that, number 11 would come from behind and steal or block every time. I don't remember if it was every time, but I do know that teams recognize now that as a way to stop Auburn is to remove Janai Broome from the equation as much as you can. Still weren't able to do that a lot tonight. He got 16 points, or was it 14 points? 16 points tonight. Weren't able to remove him from the equation a lot, but they were able to keep others from helping when they did double down on him. Jay Will had 7 assists. I give his low points a pass if he's creating points elsewhere. And that's one of the great things about Jalen Williams. And tonight, every game, Jalen Williams just does Jalen Williams things. He will find a way to be a smart basketball player, to be a contributing basketball player, points-wise, assists-wise, rebounding-wise. His stat line tonight, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 for 3 from the free throw line, 0 for 2 from the three-point arc. KD Johnson tonight, 5 points. He's still just kind of sitting in that single-digit category, and I continue to ask, I think KD really is the missing piece in all of this. If we can get that guy going again, offensively into more consistently double-digit category, whether that's shooting the 3 ball or just, creating more shots for himself, that might be the thing that kind of kickstarts this offense just a little bit. Because you have a guy like Jalen who's been getting more and more consistent in what he contributes offensively. Allen Flanigan was on a tear before this game and probably can get that back again. So if you really look at that, when you've got Janai and Wendell every single night basically being the main guys, if you get that other cast of characters, Allen and Jalen doing what they've been doing the last couple of weeks outside of tonight, and then a guy like KD stepping up to where we're used to him being, that could be the difference. I want to give KD Johnson a compliment tonight. And I think we're getting, and this is just my opinion on this, I've said that a lot tonight, because I know there's a lot of disagreeing tonight because of all the hurt feelings. KD Johnson is this close, I said last week, to getting it figured out for himself, and really didn't take a step forward tonight, in my opinion. But what I do love is the guy is trying real hard not to be selfish. There was a possession where he really was trying to find a teammate, set them up for something, and the clock just ran down and he took it in and ended up scoring. I'm kind of in camp right now that I want KD Johnson to kind of be a little selfish. Does anybody else feel that way? I want to see what he can do. We know what he can do. I want to see what he can do this season. And there's been some nights where he's done more than he should do. But I'm ready for KD to get going. I'm willing to let him be a little selfish right now. You're right about KD. If he gets going, it'll be lethal. Pate is celebrating. We take our wins where we can get them, right? A struggle win for Alabama is always good. Well, a loss is good, but I guess we'll take that too. Since you were watching on the television, what did you think of the officiating? The Jungle was not happy, I imagine. We've had some people already talk about tonight that they watching on TV, they weren't happy. I don't know if this is me getting older or whatever. I'm finding myself getting less and less focused on the officiating and making that an excuse, which I'm not saying anybody is. I guess I'm just used to the SEC refs sucking. So I just know that we have to play through it. It all goes back to this. The point is, you should not put yourself in a position to where bad officiating affects you. If you're giving up a 15-point lead at the half, a cushion that a team doesn't need to have on the road in your arena, the officiating is far from the problem tonight. But it is SEC officiating, and there were questionable things tonight. He doesn't need to get that 3 ball going. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to catch up on some comments here. I agree there. Katie set up Berman for his 2 points, but yes, ready to see our little maniac get it going again. I agree. All right, let me go back through we talked about some individual stats tonight. So it's really interesting. We lose this game tonight, 79-63, but there's really not, and I did a quick glance, so things changed probably the last few minutes of the game. When I was kind of previewing it about 2 minutes left in the game, I was expecting to see some huge discrepancies in the area in certain areas, and I didn't really see them all that much. A few, but not as much as I thought I'd see. Tonight from the field, 47% for Texas A&M. They were shooting much better in the first half. Auburn, 43%. So not a super big discrepancy. The biggest probably is the free three-point shooting tonight. 37% from the field for them, only 19 for Auburn. If Auburn knocks down a few key three-pointers here, a few less turnovers down under the basket, it's probably a much different game at the end of the game. Not as miserable. Free throw shooting tonight was pretty good by both teams. 83%, Auburn with 75%, so they win that category. Texas A&M does. Turnovers tonight, 9 for Texas A&M, 13 for Auburn. So Auburn has been doing really good about turnovers-wise, staying in single digits. They give up a few more tonight. It's not the worst we've ever seen them do, but it's not consistent with the trend that they've been having over the last few games. So if you want to really talk about a stat to pay attention to, this might be a case for one of them. Texas A&M taking care of the ball for the most part on the road, as well as having Radford go off. Radford is basically just the response tonight for how they were able to win. Let's see. Okay, keep moving down here. Rebounds, 33-28. So a 5 stat differential, 5 rebound differential there for Texas A&M's favor tonight. They obviously win both categories, but it's a differential of 3 and 2 in both of those categories, respectively, defense and offensively. So I know everybody was frustrated with the rebounding tonight, but statistically, it didn't look that bad. But I'm sure when those opportunities were happening, it looked much worse and was much worse at that time. Second chance points tonight, basically the same. Bench points tonight, we already mentioned that. A little bit less for Auburn, not by much, but that's probably the big thing. Our bench usually provides a little bit more support. Points in the paint, dead even at 34. Fast breaks in Auburn's favor, which you would expect at home. Blocks tonight. You would think you hear this stat, Auburn wins the game. 1 block for Texas A&M. 10. Let me say that again. 10 for Auburn. Incredible. Steals tonight, Texas A&M 8, Auburn 3, and assists were in Auburn's favor. So at least we were in that category. We were sharing the ball. Good job. I'm very cautious when I say this, and I kind of said this with Katie. This is just a small part of me that's starting to feel like I want some guys to start being a little bit selfish. I appreciate the selflessness, the team-centered nature of this team thus far, but we're going to need somebody to be a Radford. We're going to need somebody to go on an absolute tear. And Jalen Williams has, for what he typically does, has been doing that for quite some time, the last couple of games for us, not tonight. But we're going to need somebody to go on a tear, and I think it's Katie Johnson. On the officiating, I think it was okay, but it appeared we were getting held or hit hard on the boards and then not being called. Got to be ready to be physical. Some of that may come just because of we were talking about the smaller nature of Wendell compared to their guards tonight. How many teams from the Big Dance get in my opinion? I mean, right now you're looking at Alabama, Tennessee, Texas A&M. If they just probably, I mean, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but I'm going to just say Texas A&M right now. I have to say Auburn's still in it. Kentucky will find a way to get in. That's 5 right there. So you're probably looking at a 6th team, which would be Florida. I don't know, 6 teams maybe. The biggest factor for me was Zepp not having enough minutes early, 22 the whole game. Radford scores 30 points. Let me just confirm that on there. Zepp Jasper, 22 points tonight. I would argue a little bit that's pretty consistent, I believe, with the amount of minutes he typically gets. So is there something that was missing particular that you thought was not a wise decision to not play him more? Because it seems pretty consistent with what he typically plays tonight. I guess I'm just not understanding the focus so much on Zepp because he contributed more offensively. He played the same amount of minutes. Is it just simply because Radford tore us up and you thought he could do a better job? And I'm fine with that because I think he's one of our better defenders. I'm just kind of interested why your focus on Zepp tonight is. And they did do that a lot tonight. Not that that's something that you necessarily want to do. You want to go up and get the ball, but that is clearly something they are focused on, at least, which I found very interesting. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing some comments and questions here. We've gone a little bit longer than our streams normally do, but I know there's a lot of feelings and emotions and things we want to talk about tonight, so keep them coming. Let me give you what to expect here for the schedule for tomorrow and a little bit beyond. We talked about this on the Auburn Family live stream tonight before the game. Go back and check that out, too, if you haven't. So next up, tomorrow morning, we'll be having another Good Morning Auburn segment. Hope you can join us live. If not, please do watch it on the replay. Drop a comment, a like, all that kind of stuff. After that, we will have a Friday Good Morning Auburn. And then I'm going on vacation. But we will have Good Morning Auburns for you all next week. There will not be a post-game show after the West Virginia game or the Georgia game, but we'll be back for Tennessee. So don't expect those from me in that time, but please do stay tuned on the channel for all the content we have coming out for you while I am gone. Speaking of which, we already mentioned it. Join us tomorrow at 4. We're going to talk about Daniel Carlson for Good Morning Auburn. He had a great year and talk about the trajectory that he's had since the time. I know it's not specifically Auburn related, but he's our guy, so we're going to talk about him a little bit. You need to be a subscriber if you're not, so you can be part of that giveaway. That's for YouTube folks. Those of you that are on Facebook and Twitter, you'll have to come to YouTube to take part in that. You can be a channel member, a Booster Club member, all those things if you want to help support our content. But the best thing you can do for us is just be here, be part of the stream, smash the like button if you haven't, because that is a huge help for us in helping us grow and make our little family within the Auburn family bigger. Alan says, well, win and loss, I love Auburn. I love that. I think he's saying, is what you're saying, David was saying, we needed him glued a little bit more to him. What makes you think that he would have had better success? I mean, he's a great defender, one of our best, maybe our best. I guess to me, that's speculation. And I don't know that I necessarily buy that as something that would have been the difference in the game. To me, the difference in the game is Radford, mainly, and us not getting a little bit more points from the bench tonight. I think Radford was just on another level tonight. SL, Auburn lost, Bama won, lousy evening, War Eagle anyways. No, it's not War Eagle anyway, it's War Eagle always. I'm going to be a stickler for that. Anyway, all right, I know this is not the fun streams that we typically get to have after basketball, and I know it's a sour one to end on since we won't have one for 2 games, but I am looking forward to being back with you guys for the Tennessee matchup. Again, I know it's easy to check out when I'm not officially here live, but I hope you guys will stay tuned to the channel the rest of this week, but next week while I'm gone, to all the content that we have coming out from you. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me tonight and dealing with a not so fun topic. Auburn losing 79-63 and getting their 4th loss on the season. Sun will rise again, folks. Season's not over. Still plenty of ball left to be played. And I hope you guys have a great night. And thank you so much for being here, hanging out with me here at E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. War Eagle.